Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, man. It's Hooptalk, the podcast, episode 13. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share with all your Hooper friends and family, man, and help us grow. We're on the verge of some big things, man. We're trying to hit our 3K hours. Man, we've been doing some big things this year. We're trying to keep it up. It's the same crew as usual. Y'all boys say hi to the people.
Hello, hello.
You're
We're going to get right to it, man. It was a short week for us. Not a lot to talk about, but we're going to do our best to really debate and have as many discussions as we can. As usual, we had some GM5 action. Finally come back after a week of some unfortunate events, which will remain unnamed. You guys can go figure it out on your own. But we finally had some GM5 action. Week 13 continued with three matchups in the GM5, starting off with, as usual, Nas does not pull up the games before the podcast starts.
Vipers and Prey.
Vipers and Prey. You would think after 13 weeks I would get this right, but here I am, still not able to do that. Vipers and Prey. That was an interesting game. Vipers definitely had themselves a fun day. Only 4 official players showed up for them. Coach Carriel was allowed to suit up, and Prey shot free throws because of it. Prey able to take this home 91-81, and with their upcoming forfeit win for Week 14, Prey will now finish the season at 500, 6-6. Tyler, you were there with me. What were your thoughts about this game?
It was a really funny game because we kept talking the entire time, hoping that somebody would come in from the Vipers, and then every quarter it felt like a new member of Prey comes in. Lou comes in. I think Djax is already there, but Jeff comes in. You have Brandon White come in, and eventually they have a full roster against 4 players of Vipers, and you know Team Prey did what they had to. I keep saying Team Prey. I apologize. Prey did what they had to. Um, they that was like a shooting exhibition. That was a very very strong shooting night from them, and especially
Even
from
Steve hit one.
Andrew. At least one. At least one. But like even Andrew, somebody that we invited to the 3 point contest, was lights out. He was on fire. Chris Williams, who I've talked about, I don't know how many times this season, but I talk about him very often. Had a ridiculously good shooting night, and on both ends of the ball, he had a great night actually. They showed up. Josiah was hitting some threes. Jaylani was doing his thing, facilitating. It was really tough for Vipers to kind of handle. They only had 5 players, and Carriel, you normally see him with that brace. He was kind of laboring. He was looking at his leg a lot. He was kind of fidgeting with it, and they just couldn't overcome it. Prey just took over. They did what they had to. They showed up and they dominated.
The Vipers put up a good fight, though, I would say. I think props to them with only having, 4 official players from the roster there. They put up a good fight. I mean, Willie, he did his thing. He went out there, he tried his hardest. And Zuldo, he was, on every single fast break. So it wasn't like the Vipers just laid down and took a beating. They definitely pushed back a lot. And I'd say at some points in that fourth quarter, it definitely looked like it was a game that they had the ability to win. And I think that's really what I want to focus on the most. It's we're going into the playoffs in 2 weeks from now, right? And there's speculation and talks about, not speculation, that's not the right word, but just talks about Bray finishing off the season strong. And you know me, Mr. Context. It's like, did they really though? Like that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, did they really though? Like I want people to stay down to earth, man, and grounded. You know what I mean? Like let's talk about it for real. Like, did they really finish off the season strong? Like, okay, you beat the Vipers, or did you? You know what I mean? Like that you just beat a bunch of little tadpoles. You know what I mean? Like they were dismantled. Players didn't show up. The guys who were there had to play the entire game without taking breaks or subs, and now you're gonna get your 6th win of the season by what do you call it, forfeit. You know what I mean, and finish at 500. So it's like the team, they have to be realistic with themselves, because if you don't view the outcome of your season realistically, you're going to go into the playoffs with an expectation that you cannot meet. So you have to understand where you are failing first. And with the conversations of them finishing strong, it's like, do you get it, guys? Do you guys really get it for real? Like you had a weak season. You have to fix that before you get to the playoffs, or else you're screwed. And I don't know, man. The way they talk, it doesn't seem like they're ready to fix it. That's just my perspective on it.
But some added context to that, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. And I understand that they were down man. They did win. They did capitalize. And we did talk about Prey earlier in the season, how they faltered a lot, later in the games, and they didn't let that happen. They also do have a win over Park Legends, is kind of in their bracket. Hey, wait, listen,
What they do?
listen. Context. They are now they're kind of like above them, in my eyes.
Yeah, because Park Legends lost 5 games in a row. Okay.
But the only teams above Prey then in that case are going to be, NWO, OTB, the Vipers, and Counter. They're right in that middle spot, and I think that's good. I think that's an improvement.
Yeah.
There was a point where I did not know if they were going to win another game earlier in the season. When that zone was when they were in jail every single
that
game to
zone
that
took the
zone,
boys out the season.
I didn't think that they were ever going to overcome that at some point. And then look at them now. Listen, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. They improved, and that's what matters.
Excuse me. No, I don't disagree. I'm just talking my shit, but I like to always look at things from the most realistic point of view possible. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Can I say they've made improvements? Yes. I would really love to see them take this time off to figure out a way to get on a court together and prepare themselves. And I don't know if they were doing that already, whether it be organizing an open run or not organizing, but getting together as a team and say, yo, let's pull up, let's run together, let's hit the court, let's run back and forth, let's talk through things, let's practice our defense, let's practice our communication. Obviously, you can't go out there to open runs and do plays and stuff, but at least let's get acquainted with what we need to do to get into the playoffs and steal a game. Because 2 weeks off and then playoffs, who knows who they're going to get. The GM5 does playoffs in a crazy way. It's a freaking random draw. So who knows who they're going to get in the first round. They could get OTB. They could get the Vipers again. And we don't know what Vipers, but that's a factor too. But I don't know if I'm fully convinced, but I don't disagree with your take. I'll say that. I don't disagree with it.
Listen, I've never been wrong. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, with what I got to see, right? Because I'm watching it at work in a ×2 playback speed that Tyler put me onto, which I love. But what I would say about all this is the Vipers. I mean, the fact that the Vipers were even in this to begin with it testifies to what Nas is saying. I mean, and that's the first thing I noticed going into the game. I'm like, why is this game so close? And it's no offense to Carriel. Obviously, Carriel's got some injuries that he's dealing with and that he's trying to get together. But
they're like me. We don't take offense. We have the same body type.
But regardless, like this game should have never been that close, and it just talks more about how good the Vipers are and how deep the Vipers are. And I was not a believer in the Vipers at first. I did believe that what Nas would say at times is this team can get a dub because the players that they have, and Tyler, the players that they have are like, wrecking ball players that can change the whole game by having a hot start. Zay, Zuldo, players like that, they could drop 40 at any game, at any time. But, shout out to Prey. Prey did, in their own way, finish the game and the series out and the season out, right? Who they get matched up to is up for grabs. But at the end of the day, what I saw this season and the context behind this team is this team was very inconsistent the whole year and consistently not good at one point. So I'm excited that they made it and they're better than what I thought they would be. I think they're better than Park Legends in my eyes. So I definitely hope that they can find some type of vibe or play style that works because I don't think I got to see Jay Lonley unlocked. I got to see one possession for the first time ever with him, and I never got to see that unlocked all the way. So I will be curious, to see how they can unlock, Jay Lonnie a little bit more. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario for them in the playoffs, but we'll definitely talk about what their matchups could look like later on in the pod here. Game 2 of the day was Count Up versus On the Bench, another team that was unfortunately dismantled, OTB this time. missing a variety of players. No coaches needed to step on the floor this time. OTB had at least 6 available players, but none of them big names. There was no aside from Josh Fillmore. Josh Fillmore was there, but no
And TC.
Stuckey, no Mello, no Keith. TC was there, correct? Yeah. So they picked up some players. I think his name was Isaac, right? Did I get that right? He was a combine
Isaac
player
and
from the midseason.
Jarrell.
Yeah, combine player from the midseason. They picked him up for this game. And Jarrell from the Lions, who I believe earned himself a deal to get on the team for the rest of the playoffs. I saw Bubba speaking very highly of him, asking for his number in
What
the group chat. So I think he is gonna ask him to come back.
you know? What's crazy? If you tap into Fillmore's YouTube, well, not YouTube, his Instagram story, you can peep that Jeriel starts to practice with them,
Jarrell,
and you see it like, what's his name?
Jarrell.
Jarrell.
Jarrell. You see Jarrell starts practicing with them like maybe a week ago. So this was something that was being plotted on. I just didn't put the two and two together, thinking that they're at a spot. But he's been practicing with them for a while now.
He's in a
So this
lot of
has to
local
be,
leagues. He's
yeah,
on
yeah,
Pat
he's act,
Squad now too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to him though.
I didn't see that. Unfortunately for OTB, it wasn't enough. Jarrell had himself a great game. Definitely did his best to will them to as close of a game as he could have, but Count Up did take that by 4, 80-76. But yeah, Jarrell, I think definitely if they could have pulled out that win, would have had a great argument for Player of the Week. Not quite explosive enough to get my vote in a loss, like that one-time kill got our vote because that was an explosive game for him. But shout out to Jarrell, man. His best game of the season was not in a Lions jersey. Imagine that. Imagine that. But one thing I'll say, I want to start this one off. One thing I'll say is I'm kind of on the same boat with Count Up as I was with Prey. It's like when you play a dismantled team, you like games gotta be easier than this, bro. They really do. And I'm not trying to throw any shade at OTB. We've talked about we've talked about OTB so many times in the past in regards to how, regardless of who they're missing, they always find a way to be competitive and be great. Whether it be with replacement players or whether it just be riding it out with the players they have available. OTB does a phenomenal job of always being good, always being competitive, no matter what their roster might or might not look like. And they did the same today or Saturday. But count up, like that has to be a game you win by 12 to 15 points. You know what I mean? That's my personal
Yeah.
opinion, and that's my take on it.
I agree. Wait, is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. You sneezed. I don't know if you were stopping, but I agree. Like they only had one player off the bench, which was Isaac in most cases, and I mean Jarrell and Isaac are brand new to this squad, so you really only have 4 people that have consistently played with each other all season. Um, and don't get me wrong though, Count Up was missing people. Brendan wasn't there. One person that they were not missing was fucking Malik, and he wasn't missing. Malik took off the dribble shots to a whole new like level. He was
He is
off the
my favorite
floor
player to
with some of his
watch.
shots. No, Pluto, he was off the floor at points of that game,
Tyler,
stepping up and taking a shot over Fillmore, who I
Tyler,
think is a great defender, off
three
the
months ago,
floor.
3 months ago, I
I don't
told
care
you.
what you tell me.
No,
Nobody has done what he did that game.
3 months ago, I
Nobody,
told you
bro.
you've never
Steph
seen
Curry
anything
esque.
like Malik. You've never seen anything like Malik. He is literally a 2K player. He is literally a 2K player. Like the shots he's taking, the green light is insane with him. But I said this, and people were so worried about his size in this league. People were worried so much about how small he was. He don't give a f if you're 6'4". He's going straight at your body contact and making the layup upside down. Like this kid is he's just naturally talented.
It,
I'm sorry.
He
it
was
was
upside
nice,
down
but
one
if you
time. He was.
literally fully flat, insane.
He's insane, man.
But if you think about it, though, that like back to what you were saying, that is a game that they should have won. And like, I'm not gonna
One by
doubt
more.
Malik's greatness or anything.
One by more.
Yeah,
They did win.
by
Yeah.
noticeably more. I'm not gonna doubt Malik's greatness or anything. I wanna preface that. But those are shots you don't expect to go in, and they only won by 4. If those 2 shots that were guarded as best as you could possibly guard them don't go in, they lose that game. Like they lose that, and that can't happen. That's crazy to think about. And I think a lot of people kind of showed up there, but I think defensively is where count up hasn't really been the count up that we're used to seeing. I
But
don't think we play that same level of defense that we saw last season, and maybe it's because Lito's not there, and I do think Lito is an exceptional defender, but like something is very different about this squad, where I'm not as confident as I was earlier this season that they'll take it. I don't think I don't think that they're a bad team. I think that they're like the tier one team to me, where they're over 500. They perform very well consistently, but I don't see them at the level of like the Vipers, as NWO, as OTB. I don't think that they're there yet, and I think that this game was a showcase of that. That they realistically aren't. People still
yeah,
looking to take bad shots. Gambling on defense, not getting back in transition when you needed to. Like that was still very prevalent there.
yeah. I'm gonna agree with Tyler. I mean, I'm watching the video at work, and I think the third shot of the game is a Kevin Beans pull up. Um, and I think we've all agreed on this
Which Tyler said
podcast
was
several
wide
times.
open.
I
It was.
don't know
It
what
was.
Tyler was. Tyler wears his glasses. That's what I want to know.
No, hold up, hold up.
It
It
was
was
open.
wide open. It just was
It
a.
was
I don't
open
think it was a good
at the
shot.
volleyball line.
I don't think it was a good shot to take, but it was wide open. I just don't think it was
It
a
was
good shot.
I
open
mean,
at
shit.
the
They should
half court.
They should pass the ball to me at the table. I'm gonna be wide open every time.
Exactly. Exactly.
But this goes
You're
back
not
to what
wrong.
we've been saying. I mean, this this team has and I think this is what happens. This team has an issue, and they've had it since last year of playing down to their competition. Um, and they have to be better than who they play. And it is right. Nas is right. This is a team where the spread should be plus 14, and you should win by 20. This is not even like any of the gemstones. This is Thanos off just one gemstone. This isn't Keith. This isn't Mello. This isn't Luke. This isn't their real. And I know they still have Fillmore. Don't get me wrong. That's why I said one gem. But this isn't their real
TC.
team. And
They have
and
TC.
TC, but TC's a little bit off the bench. TC might be the glove. But regardless, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, this team wasn't fully packed, and you guys made this so close. And this goes back to the piece that they did need, which was Malik to get him out of situations like this, a scorer, someone who can score and make those tough shots, a tough shot maker. In a way, they did get better at some of the pieces they do have moving into like those close games that they would have an issue scoring with. I think Malik is an upside. I think Malik going into this league, because you guys don't understand. Like I talked to Malik. Malik only plays basketball on Saturday. He doesn't play on Monday. He plays one time a week, and it's at the GM5. I don't think people take into consideration that these dudes here are playing like at least 3 to 4 times a week and working out. Like he's getting into his form. He told me that's a little bit of insider when I talked to him. He messages me a lot on Instagram. But regardless, like this team has the makeup to be a really good team. You have a 7 footer, you have another 6'9" dude, you have good wings, you have Dennis, you have man, brain fart. I'm gonna just go say Kevin Beans. Shout out. You got Kevin Beans. You have a lot of
Really?
players here
Isn't that your team?
that are huh?
Nothing.
It's my team.
Yeah.
It was my team. NWO this
We
season.
didn't
Let's
talk
go.
about Raji. Didn't talk
Hey,
about Jalen.
I
Jalen,
hate.
that's the name I
I
actually
hate.
had a brain fart with.
I hate
It's Jalen who
mofos
really
that
had
hit
the
you.
name.
I hate mofos that hit you with a but heard every word you said. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I gotta progress. I gotta take in what you're saying real quick, huh? But
Don't get
what
this
I
man a
would say is
jersey.
Jalen, they got a team that can really be competitive, and I think they have that same vibe the Vipers have. I think the Vipers have just proven they can do it, and they can go up against these Goliaths of the GM5. I just hope that if they do get matched up with an OTB, if they do get matched up with an MWO the first round, they're able to not play down and play up because I think that's what they need. They need to find their brand and stick to it. And I don't think they have a brand yet. I feel like everybody plays everybody else's roles, and I don't think it should be like that. Not at all.
Yeah, I think I think Con Up reminded me a lot of the Lakers the last couple of years, where it's like they finish strong in the second half of the season and they give you this perception that they're ready to compete, and then you look at a playoff matchup, you're like, who are you going to compete against? You know what I mean? And I think that's what Con Up is gonna really struggle the most. It's going to turn into a situation where if you keep playing the way that you play, who will you truly compete with in the playoffs? Like, you're gonna have to get a favorable matchup, and we don't know if that's even a possibility for you, right? It's a random draw, so we don't know what's gonna happen. So, I encourage count up. Whoever watches, whoever wants to listen is. I get it. You guys are gonna let your ego take control, and say like, no, we got this. We can beat anybody. But like, you got to watch the film and really decide, can we win a big game with these shots that we're taking? I don't believe you
Right.
can. Maybe Malik can
Right.
make them. Unfortunately for you, you have 6, 7, or 8 other players on that roster who are also taking some of these shots. And yeah, Braji can knock him down sometimes. Malik is gonna knock him down sometimes, but his powers could wear off. That could be the one night his powers finally wear off. You know what I mean? So like, these shots have to improve because I think that's the catalyst. Count Up has the talent to beat somebody and surprise somebody in the playoffs. I genuinely believe that, but they don't play like they have the talent. They play
Yeah.
very, at times, selfishly, where it's like, I'm just gonna put
Yeah.
this shot up and then move on with my life. And I don't think that's gonna
Yeah.
work in the playoffs because maybe you get a favorable matchup in the first round, but realistically speaking, OTB is likely not gonna get a unfavorable matchup. You know what I mean? There is no unfavorable matchup for them. Vipers are likely not going to get unfavorable matchup unless they face up against each other. You know what I mean? Other than that,
Yeah.
those are two teams that are very likely to advance. The odds aren't 100% obviously, but if they advance and you get a favorable matchup in the first round, now you got to think about the future of it. Can we beat these guys to go to the next? You know what I mean? Like, all these things matter, and that's why they remind me of the Lakers. It's like, you can get it done in the regular season to get yourself a favorable seeding, but then the playoffs always looks sketchy. You know what I mean? That's my take, man.
Yeah, I think that they're good, but I can't call them great yet because we haven't seen great from them.
I
Word.
agree.
Agreed as
But
well.
third and final game, we only had 3 games available for this week of GM5 action, as teams unfortunately have been eliminated from the regular season contention and playoff contention. So we finished off with NWO versus City Ballers, which was an exciting game to say the least. I tend to not always have the most faith in City Ballers, but I will say towards the end of that game, they made a push that looked like they were about to pull it off. But NWO unfortunately was able to take that 73-66. Now I say that positively, but here comes the negativity. Let's now mention that NWO is the third top team in a row that came into the game dismantled. The difference being they got the job done. Vipers came dismantled, couldn't get it done. OTB came dismantled, could not get it done. NWO came dismantled, and they got it done. So shout out to them. Shout out to NWO, undefeated champs floating. They finished the regular season 12-0, the first ever undefeated team in GM5 history in the regular season. City Ballers, I'm going to say the same thing I said about Prey. I'm going to say the same thing I say about Count Up. You should have won this game. They won.
Yeah.
They should have won by more. You should have just won this game. And I shout out the team NWO. The last thing I'll say, and I'll let you guys give your takes, is shout out to mother loving CJ. Ladies and gentlemen, CJ arrived. That man took over in the fourth quarter, and that is not something that was in my bingo card. That was not something I was ever going to predict. Listen, you can give me a list of 100 bets to take. I'm taking all 99 bets before I take CJ scoring maybe 8 to 10 points in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, he went crazy, man. Shout out to CJ. He went nuts. He closed out that quarter for NWO. AJ wasn't there. Rod wasn't there. Bulb wasn't there. It was phenomenal. Shout out to CJ, man. Most improved player.
Nah, fuck that. CJ played like the player that we've been talking about for the last couple
All
of weeks.
season. Yeah.
CJ has been slowly arriving. I looked back at the last couple of seasons, and this is like a trend that CJ has where he starts the season off slow, and he ends the season dropping like 15 to 18, like night after night after night. CJ's a dog. CJ just doesn't get to be a dog because he's got AJ, and he's got Rod, and he's got Tom, and he's got all these other mouths to feed. But when you don't have them there, you really get to see him be him. and he's good. He's a very very good basketball player in this league. I would venture to say he could, hot take, he could be top 10, top 15, somewhere around there. I really do think so. If you look at the entire package of what he brings to the game, listen, I think that there could be an argument.
That's a take.
I don't care.
That's a
Hey,
take.
I don't care.
So
That
what
is
was
a take.
I'm just
you're
letting you know.
saying? You're saying if CJ had a bigger role on a team, he'd be a top 15 player in the league? Is that what you're saying?
I do think so.
That's
I think right now,
that's a take.
I think right now he could be a top 15 player right now.
If he had a bigger role on NWO, that's a take.
Right now, at his current role.
At his wait,
Right.
what? You think he's a top 15
That's what
player?
I'm saying.
Oh,
15? Hey,
it's a small
I'm
league.
telling you.
It's a small league, so top 15
Exactly.
is a larger list than I'm making it seem. It's not the NBA, obviously, with 500
Exactly.
players. I get it. I
He's
understand.
not going to fucking Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving or Luka.
It's a smaller league. There's less than 100 players. Yeah. That's not as crazy. Yeah, when you really think about it, that's not as crazy. I would like to venture though. We do have a short pod at the end of the day. I'd like to discuss that. Can we name 15 players better than CJ? I want to talk about that.
No. I'm telling you, we can't. And I'm not going to do it because we can't do it.
No.
Why would we try to do
no.
something that's impossible?
We're
But
gonna
back to
do
the
it.
game, though.
We're gonna do it. We're
Back-
gonna do it. You're not
back
getting
to
away
the
from
game.
it.
We're
You're
gonna
not.
do it.
You're not getting away from this. You're not getting
That's
away
fine.
with this.
But-
Go ahead.
So
I
we
think,
we
go ahead.
talk about Phil earlier in the season and how he kind of had that short fuse and it would kind of lose games. I do think CJ kind of has that same fuse where he does get very emotional, gets very upset. But the difference is he locks in a lot quicker and he channels that into fighting further on the rebounds, pushing back on defense, looking to score for other people or to create for other people. I think that CJ is a very good engine for this team. And along with that, there are other guys that we really don't get to talk about too much, like Anderson. He showed up. Anderson Roberts was hitting some difficult shots this game. Alex Sanchez spent majority of this game on the floor after getting a score. Majority of the game he's getting knocked down. I think he's getting fouled.
Always on the ground.
I think he's getting
Alex
fouled a
Sanchez
lot
is
more than
always
what
on
was
the ground.
called. He was getting fouled a lot more than what was called. I really do think so. And they just came together so well. And Tommy, he hides a lot of what he gets to do because there's so many other people in front of him scoring. But Tommy showed you this game. Bro, he's tough. He's tough to stay in front of. He's tough to guard on the perimeter. Defensively, he's gonna be fighting for balls. He's gonna be look for jump balls. He's gonna be getting a lot of deflections. That entire squad played so well.
Tommy's a
And
former
on to
MVP.
City Park.
Tommy's a GM5
He
MVP.
should be the Finals MVP. That doesn't make sense. I'm gonna be realistic. I don't know where I was going at there.
Did
Let's
AJ
dial
just
that
not
back.
Did AJ not just want to play? Like he's just
forgot
in
his
street
jersey.
clothes just chilling?
Yeah, he had a Lambs thing earlier in the day.
He forgot to bring his
okay,
jersey.
okay.
for what we
Forgot to
saw.
bring his jersey with him. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, really quick, one other thing I want to say. On to City Ball, I just have one thing to say, and I'm going to be fully transparent here. Keita shot you guys out of the game.
Oh man.
There's no
Oh
there's
man.
no
I
denying
watched that. That was some nasty work.
He
That
just
was
did
nasty
shoot you guys
work.
out of that game, unfortunately. And I really like Phil on the sideline, being like this leader, trying to get people to clap, trying to get people to cheer. But like none of that is going to happen when you have these shots early in the shot clock, first, second possession, and you just shooting it. Like that's that I don't know. I really do think that's why they lost.
Yeah, man. Apologies to Coach D. It turns out I think either we accidentally muted his mic or the mic may have died and we didn't recognize. But
That's why you couldn't hear me. That makes sense. You couldn't
Yeah.
hear me at all that game.
yeah, which is weird because I use the mics together, so I don't know why one would have less battery than the other. So I think maybe the button was pressed, but I don't know. Apologies to Coach D, and I guess apologies to Tyler. I didn't even realize. I watched most of these games on mute, but yeah, apologies to them. What was I gonna say though?
For broadcasting.
Yeah,
Right?
what you call it? Damn, what were we just talking? Ketis. Yeah, I said it on the broadcast, and Coach D was agreeing with me over and over again, man. Yeah, it's you some things got to change. I don't know what it is. City Ballers, Phil has a pool of connections, so he can find players. We proved it this season. He can find talent. He can find available guys to come show up and play. But something's got to change on the structure of how that team is ran for City Ballers to walk into a GM5 season and have a successful year, because he's not gonna like it, but I'm gonna say it. Kiedis had to be taken out of the game. He was not there to win. That winning was not what he had in mind. And I understand that shooters shoot. I understand that they're gonna go in eventually. That I get it. That's the mentality that guys have. But like, do you think teams are gonna give Bradley Beal that much leeway? Right?
Nope.
Do you think teams are gonna give Russell Westbrook that much leeway just because of who they've been in the past? Like,
Use somebody else.
Who?
Then Russell Westbrook. Use somebody else.
Oh no. You think teams are gonna give them that much leeway? They're not. It doesn't matter who you've been in the past or what you've done in this league, bro. If you do not show up ready to win a basketball game, you gotta be taken out. And I'm sorry, Phil, bro, that was your call. You had to take that man out. He lost you the game. There's no other way of putting it. There is no other way of putting it. Marquise Page lost City Ballers that game, and I know you guys have faith in him. I know you guys love him and believe in him, and I respect that, and I love that. That's what you're supposed to have. He needs to have enough respect for you guys to say, I don't got it today. Somebody come get me. I don't got it today. Because you can't just keep chucking them up, bro. You can't just keep doing that. And I'll give one last example. You guys can continue your takes. One example that I like to use, two. I'm going to use two. Jason Tatum, because it's a more recent one. I forget what year, but there was a year in the playoffs Jason Tatum had a game where he played like complete assery. It was just a complete trash bucket. Could not make a single shot. But that man walked out of the game with a triple-double. Had, I think, 12 to 14 assists in a playoff game. You know what I mean? 10 to 12 rebounds. I think he only ended up scoring 18 points. Probably shot 30% from the field because he could not throw a rock in the ocean. You know what I mean? But great players do that. I can't. I'm not contributing in the area where my team wants me to contribute the most. So I gotta figure out a way to get involved in this game and win. You know what I mean? And another spectrum of that I want to bring up, and it's the last thing I'll say, I'm sorry for my long tangent, is a long time ago, I'm a Dwight Howard fan, so for a little period of time, I was a Rockets fan, right? Because Dwight Howard was on the Rockets. So I used to follow every single game, watch them every single year in the playoffs. It was 1 year. It was the best year that Rockets team had in the playoffs. They made it to the conference finals. It was 1 year. James Harden, the franchise player of that team, did not touch the basketball court for the entirety of the fourth quarter. Decision made completely by the coach. Why? Because he was playing to lose. That's basically what it was. He was playing to lose. Every shot he would take was bad. Every pass he would make was bad. And you had guys like Josh Smith. We had Corey Brewer back then. We had Dwight who was going off that game as well. These guys were out there playing to win. And McHale, as the leader who makes the decisions, said, Harden, you're going to hate me. I'm probably going to get fired, but I want to win this game. I'm taking you out, and I'm sorry, bro, you're not seeing the court again. And he did not. I'm gonna look it up, and I might even put it in the comment section so I can show you the exact game that it happened, because I remember that game like I watched it yesterday. I used this example millions of times with my AAU kids. James Harden, the franchise player, was taken out for the entirety of the fourth quarter. So Josh Smith, the aging veteran, could carry the Rockets to a win, which they ended up coming back down 3-1, which was the legendary Doc Rivers. That's where Doc Rivers' failures started, and he lost the 3-1 lead to the Rockets.
Fuck him.
Yeah, he lost the 3-1 lead to the Rockets, and then he started losing other 3-1 leads. Blah blah blah. But it's not about him. And I say those two sides of it because it's like Jason Tatum from a player perspective. That's what I wanted Marquise to do. Figure out a different way to impact the game. And then and whoever's in charge on the bench, because they didn't have Coach Rob that day, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever was in charge in the bench to make decisions, you had to nut up and get in the Kevin McHale shoes and be like, take that guy out. He's not here to win this game. He does not want to win. He does not want to advance. He's about to lose us this series. And that game literally changed the entire series for the Rockets. They won, being down 3-1. You know what I mean? It's I hate to see that. I hate to see it, man, and that's why I go on such a large tangent because I hate to see stuff like that. Marquise, you lost the game. Somebody had to take you out. I'm sorry, they had to. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. It's a reality, and I want to preface this. I've talked about Kiedis this season. I know he's having a down shooting season. I still do think Kiedis is a good shooter, but there has to come a time where you realize like my shot's not falling. Nobody is going to shoot 100%. There's going to come a point where you have to recognize that this is not working. Let me try something else, or let somebody else take this opportunity. Maybe they can have some better touches than I can. It doesn't mean that you're bad. I actually think that you are playing better by doing that. I think anybody that's willing to recognize that this isn't working and somebody else should be doing that, that's great. That's what the greatest players do. But that didn't
Yep.
happen.
Maybe
That
drive
never
to the
once
basket
happened
every
that
once
night.
in a while. Ever think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Maybe pump fake every once in a while. Drive to the basket. That could do something for your team.
Pass out.
Yeah.
You got
Well,
a defender in your face. Pass out.
one thing that this league, I've learned a lot about this league is like you can tell the players who played with a coach who's taught them the game, and then you can tell what a player's learned the game himself. And what I mean by that is, and I'm gonna highlight this: we have someone like Kevin. I think Rulock has been taught basketball at a very high level. I also think he did play basketball at a high level as well as circumstances. So the way he views the game will be different than someone like Phil, who is what you would say your local all star. You're the best the city's ever had there. And when you have someone who thinks like Phil just thinks we just need to score more. So I could tell the way he built this team was we're just gonna score a lot. But there is no chemistry on offense. No one plays their roles. And if Kiedis is your engine, right? If Kiedis is your Luke Doyle, if Kiedis is your shooter, right? Your primary catalyst shooter, he has to make shots and not even just be consistent in his shot making, be consistent in being there. It's hard for players to get like a feel for each other if they don't play with each other. I'm pretty sure we can count on how many times Kiedis has played with Rula. I think at the end of the day, this team's consistency wasn't there. I don't think it's talent. I don't think it's coaching. It's consistency at all forms. Consistency on defense, being able to understand like defensive assignments, being able to understand that we're not here to foul a player and have bonuses. I'm pretty sure there are bonuses in every quarter. Like there has to be a point where we got to give the IQ, the guy with the IQ, the keys to the kingdom, and that's all I'm gonna say. And if we die by the smartest guy making our game plan, then we die by that, bro. But you guys are so talented, like uber talented. Probably one of the most talented teams in this league when we go like matchup for matchup, head for head. And it's just a 3-8 season. It's crazy to me. That's the part where you lose me. And then you lose to an NWO team, no AJ, no Bowl, no, none of their real cornerstone players are playing. Did Rod play, you guys? I don't know if Rod played or not. Rod
No.
Yeah,
didn't play
that's gonna
either.
be stuff too.
This is a get me game. This is a get right game. This is a game where I'm putting myself in a position to have some type of momentum going into the next game. And
All you
there
need is
was none of that.
CJ.
Yeah.
That's all you
There's
need.
none of that.
CJ and
Seems like it.
Tommy killed
Shit.
them. But for city ballers, it's also a lack of effort. It's not just consistency. It's a lack of effort to make the right pass, to look to facilitate for others, to look to pick up on defense when someone got beat. Like there's nothing there. NWO ran a zone, and I really do think city ballers have the makeup to break a zone. They have two great middlemen. You know, you could put Kevin down there, you could put Nick down there. I think either one will be able to facilitate out there, shoot out there if they need to. And you surround them with shooters, but like you have to be able to pass. You have to know to give it to Kev at the right spots. You know, you have to look to Ketis. The shot's not going to work. Somebody's right here. Let me pass this up to give somebody else. But they never do that. They never did that. Never
Yep.
once.
Because this team
So
is
like that's
full
why
of
they lost.
yeah, this team is full of Joes and pros. Not pros and pros, Joes and pros, and that's the problem.
I
That's
got
the problem to me.
I got the count up and OTB
Yeah.
game playing on my background right now. I just saw Jalen trying to baptize that man again. He
Yeah,
missed
I
that.
meant to say that.
Yeah,
You
That
see,
missed
yeah.
you
dunk.
trying to take that man's life off baseline, bro. Off
Yeah. Yeah,
baseline.
that was crazy. I don't know if you guys saw my face. I was like, oh my god.
I
But
forgot
yeah,
about
man.
that for a second.
Yeah, that shit
We
was
should invite him
crazy.
to the dunk contest.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna mention that. I was like, I wonder if Jalen can get up like that. But yeah,
He
I
definitely
agree.
can.
I agree with everything said, man. Those are the 3 games, though, man. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in the playoffs. We have Prey taking a win due to forfeit in Week 14 versus Dream Chasers, who are no longer going to be eligible to play any more games. So they finished the season 6-6. So we're gonna have one game at 11 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, next week or this week for Week 14, and it's gonna be City Ballers versus On the Bench. Um, that's the only game that we got the option to predict here. So I'm gonna take I'm sorry, On the Bench here for this win, which could bring them to a 10-2 season.
I'm gonna take on Tay bench.
Oh God, that again.
You get it? No, also one thing that we didn't talk about was Tay though. Tay was also very instrumental to that win. I want to just shout out Tay.
To well, they lost, but yeah.
Yeah. to
to getting
to
close.
showing up.
To getting close. Yeah.
Keeping them in that spot. You're right. Yep, you're right. That did happen. They did lose.
Who you got,
Crazy.
Pluto? OTB or City Ballers?
If they were to play each other.
No, they
No,
are.
they are.
They are playing
Oh,
next week.
last week. I forgot last week. OTB City Ballers. I'm gonna be there this week too. I'm excited.
He said
OTB
he said
City
if they were to
Ballers.
play each other. Go ahead,
I
finish
think
it.
And a
what am I doing? Why
hypothetical.
not even is OTB gonna be fully rostered?
We never know. They don't. They know what they're doing. They're not gonna tell
Does
nobody.
it matter?
I don't care. OTB. I don't care who they bring. Me, Nas, and Tyler can start. We're gonna get a dub.
Oh man, I don't know about all that.
I know my limitations. That's one of them.
Let's
Come
not
on,
do
guys.
that.
Come on, guys. Come on. You gotta be on my side with this
Crazy.
stuff.
But OTB is
Me?
gonna.
You put me on the team. That's the problem.
OTB
I'll
is
definitely
the
score. I'll definitely score.
OTB is the unanimous decision there. They're gonna win that game and finish the season with a 10th win. The final game will not alter the standings in any way. These are the standings as the season will complete, and it's gonna be NWO with the first ever undefeated regular season on their way, or at least trying to become the first ever undefeated champs in GM5 history. They're 12-0.
Just one second.
What happened? Oh, you said you'll be right back.
Yeah, just one second.
OTB, obviously their record can change, but they will still be the 2nd seed. Vipers will be the 3rd seed. Count Up Vipers, finish 8-4. Count Up is going to finish 7-5. Park Legends will finish 6-6, as will Prey due to the forfeit win that they will have in Week 14, so they'll finish 6-6. City Ballers, their record can change, but they will be the 7th seed regardless. They could either finish 4-8 or 3-9, and up to our voting, looks like they're going to finish 3-9, unfortunately. But the seeding will not change. So how the seeding looks now is how the seeding will look. However, seeding does not matter. Hopefully Tyler gets back by the time we get into the cusp of this conversation. But seeding does not matter, ladies and gentlemen. NWO for the GM5 Season 5 playoffs will get a bye in the first round. And the remaining 6 teams, because Dream Chasers and Lions Perception have been eliminated from playoff contention due to a series of unfortunate events. So the remaining 6 teams that are not NWO will go through a random draw to decide their opponent in the first round of the playoffs. And in the second round, who out of the 3 teams that will advance, NWO gets to pick who they play. And then the remaining 2 teams will face off against each other. So the first day of the playoffs will be 2 weeks from now, whatever day that might be. And it's going to be a random draw. So we're going to go through the teams of the 6 teams that will play that day. And we're going to discuss what do we believe individually, not as a group, but individually, separately, what do we believe will be their most favorable matchup, who they're most guaranteed to beat in a first round matchup, and who is their least favorable matchup, who is most likely to give them an L in the first round. So we'll start off. Tyler hopefully will show up by then. We did start a
Yeah.
little late,
Wait, let me go
unfortunately.
first because I have to step away for one second. So let me go first. You
OTB is
take a
first
round.
up. Who's OTB's most favorable and least favorable matchups?
Uh, is this hard?
No,
I mean,
but Tyler wants to go
I
first. So
I think so. I actually think OTB's most favorable matchup would be Counter.
interesting. I see why you
I
say
really do
that.
think. Yeah.
You correct me if I'm wrong. Um, this could be a This could be a stray. I'm gonna say this is why I think you saying this. Um, OTB is a very organized team.
Yep.
They are a very well put together team. They play very good high IQ basketball. And with Countup's inconsistency when it comes to shot selection and defensive assignments, um, is that why you think they're the most favorable matchup for OTB?
I do, and also I think that I think that roster with Keith on it kind of neutralizes a lot of what we see from Brendan.
Yeah,
Him able to play that run position at the five, him getting a lot of blocks. He's gonna get posted up a lot, and he's gonna get in foul trouble a lot. And then along with that, I do think Malik at times does not. I think he does struggle a little bit with like stronger guards, like especially with Fillmore and especially with Melo. Listen, he hit those shots, but I would be shocked to see if he was over 40% shooting because they were defending him very well.
yeah.
Along
Malik
with
hit
that,
those shots, but he didn't have a great game.
yeah, it
No, I
was.
believe that.
He had great moments. He had very great moments. I'll say that. But I think that would be actually a really tough matchup for them. And we're not even talking about TC and Stuckey, their new addition Tay, of course. Now the possibility of Luke coming back. Like I do think that Melo and Keith would kind of be able to dissect that team.
Who do you think is most likely to beat them in a first round matchup?
The Vipers. I think that they both play a very unselfish brand of basketball, and they both play defense very, very well. I
Yeah,
think it'd be either one of them.
I'm gonna have to go
I'll
with.
be right back in.
All right, I'm gonna have to go with Prey. Um, I mean, they struggled with scoring the ball all year this year. And one thing about OTB is that they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Think so. Most favorable matchup would have to be Prey. Also, size. Prey is not that big at all. I think Keith would have a field day. I think he already has with them. I think least favorable, we would have to go with Vipers. They're the only team I think that can really give them any type of resistance.
Yeah, I think least favorable. I'll get that one out the way first. Is the Vipers. Obviously, I don't think any other team that's going to the playoffs has shown us the consistency to beat OTB in a playoff matchup. And I would still take OTB versus the Vipers as well. But if I have to choose one team that's the most likely to pull it off, it would be the Vipers. If they faced off, I'm putting my money on OTB though. I still think OTB is the favorite in that matchup. But I think the obvious answer, and I hate to be the obvious guy here, but I think the obvious answer is City Ballers. I think City Ballers is the least likely team. And it's just they haven't put together a great season. They haven't shown a lot of consistency. From a matchup perspective, on paper, they're supposed to be able to compete. Nick Choi, he's a bigger guy. He can give Keith, some sort of resistance. I'm not saying he's going to lock him up. Keith is just a phenomenal player. That's not something that's going to happen in this league. But there's a level of resistance that he can provide. So from a matchup perspective, on paper, it looks good. But I don't know if I would trust City Ballers. So I picked them as the one team that I feel like OTB will have the easiest time with. So we got the Vipers up next. Um, I'd operate under the assumption that teams are going to be fully rostered. Obviously, we cannot over predict. We don't have the ability to predict the future. So, assuming teams are going to be fully rostered, I'll go first on this one. I'd say the most likely to give them a run for the money is obviously OTB. I do believe the Vipers um, are just as good as OTB is. So, I would say they're the most likely to give the Vipers a run for their money, and vice versa, as we mentioned earlier. And I think um, the least likely, I wouldn't pick City Ballers this time. I would actually pick Prey. I would actually pick Prey. I think the Vipers do a phenomenal job of playing a 2-3 zone, and the Prey has shown weakness to that. And I also believe Prey is a slower team, and the Vipers are, if we could keep track of it, probably the fastest team in the league. They get on that break. Not to mention Zuldo. You know, he's never seen a cherry pick. He wasn't
Fucking
he
flash.
yeah, he wasn't ready to go rush towards. So uh, I wouldn't pick City Ballers for them. I'd actually pick Prey. I think Prey would have the hardest time with Vipers.
You want to make this a little bit more fun? No repeat answers.
Would that even be possible? We have 6 teams.
Yeah, that's exactly possible.
For which one? For both? For favorable and not favorable?
For least favorable. So this way, we're not just picking OTB and Vipers for everyone. Because we're going to.
Oh, true. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, sure.
I would for I'll go real quick. I got Vipers, obviously OTB. That's not hard, right? Most least favorable matchup. Easiest. Believe it or not, I'm gonna go with Count Up. I feel like when Count Up gets in those ruts where they turn the ball over a lot, and give the other team a lot of extra possessions, I think the Vipers really capitalize on those. When you have someone like Zuldo who cherry picks, you have someone like Zay who was also quick to get on the break after a team makes mistakes. I think that's a very favorable matchup for the Vipers. So I like Count Up.
Um, I think I'm going to go Prey for their most favorable. I'm torn between Prey and Park Legends because I do think Park Legends also does struggle against the Vipers, but I don't have any stats up to go off of, so I'm going to go Prey. I think the Vipers are just too quick. It's too hard to stay in front of them. And that's a job where like Djax and Jaylani are really gonna have to be tested on the perimeter. And not that they're bad defenders, but like they're never ending offense. It just never ends. They never stop. They're just constantly driving. They're constantly in transition. They're even shooting really well. Like Zuldo is one of the best shooters in the league currently at a high volume. And that I think that's really tough to deal with. For their toughest, I'm gonna do this as my on the bench pick, and then we won't revisit on the bench or Vipers again for me.
I was gonna say since on the bench and Vipers are most likely the least favorable matchup for everybody, why don't we just say let's just discuss who their most favorable matchup is? Let's just leave it to that. Because
I like that.
That's fair.
I'd say that's the more interesting topic at the end of the day anyway. So moving on to Count Up, so the team that I believe they want to face to advance to the next round. This is where it gets interesting because I feel like now these teams just haven't shown me the consistency that I need to really be set on my answer. So I'm going to say Count Up would have the easiest time against Park Legends. I think Park Legends. I want to say Park Legends. Yeah. What do you guys think? Who's your choices?
I think well, not Vipers. I think the most you said favorable.
Yeah.
The most favorable matchup has to be Prey for Count Up. They're literally the opposite of Count Up. They're small. They're slow. I think Count Up does have some speed to them, and I think it would be a favorable matchup in the sense of, just being bigger, rebounding them. They have 2 7-footers damn near.
I was
I
thinking
like I
Prey.
like this. Yeah.
I was thinking Prey. I was trying to figure out what could I say to make it make sense, but it kind of clicked. The reason I went with Park Legends is because I feel like Park Legends is historically known for not being able to keep themselves composed to finish off a game, and I think Count Up seems to have a much easier time putting it together in the second half, if that makes sense. You know, they kind of
Yeah.
wash away all their bad shots in that first half. Like, you know, players like Beans will miss his first 3 threes, and then next, you know, he hits 2 out of his next 5 or 3 out of his next 6. You know what I mean? And it starts gelling with everybody, and then Braji starts picking it up. Malik starts just throwing balls in the air. Hopefully they go in, and then 75% of the time they do. So I feel like that's why I feel like Park Legends would be the most favorable matchup. I just wanted to explain that.
Are you good?
I I actually think Park Legends would be their most favorable matchup. That team kind of has a team that's built around two offensive weapons in Christian and in Jalen. And I think if you put Jalen on Dom, oh, I said Christian, and I said Jalen. What the hell?
Yeah.
Christian and Dom. I was going ahead of myself. Christian and Dom. I think if you put Jalen on Dom, which I would expect him to do, and we saw earlier in the season, you can kind of neutralize that a little bit. That's one of Dom's worst games of the season. Earlier, if we saw, he didn't go to the free throw line as often as we thought because Jalen played him defensively so well. And then your answer is, who's gonna take Christian off the perimeter, and I think that Count Up can do that very well against him. So I'd say for Count Up, their most favorable matchup would be Park Legends.
I agree. And then we got Park Legends up next. I'll go first as well. Park Legends most favorable matchup. I would say it's kind of
Everybody
hard.
do it together. 3, 2, 1.
No.
You
Pray.
guys are not gonna like my answer. I can go first. I can chop the room
Yeah,
right
you
now.
go first because I don't know who I think their most favorable matchup is.
I actually think that their most favorable matchup right now at this current iteration would be the Vipers because Park Legends do a very good job of slowing down the game and playing in the half court and not turning the
crazy.
ball over as much
That's
and
crazy.
not allowing the other team to play in transition as much.
That's interesting.
I still think Vipers win that, but I do think that they match up best against Vipers. They did just lose to Prey pretty handedly. They
Impressive.
lost to a lot of teams that we can talk about pretty handedly, but they lost by 4 to the Vipers. That was one of the closest games as of lately.
I can dig it. I can dig it. I think their most favorable matchup would be City Ballers.
That's a good one.
Actually, yeah, damn.
I honestly, I can't.
Didn't think of that.
I like the take that Tyler had, but I think their most favorable matchup, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to City Ballers, because it's easy to kind of get them out their game and slow the game down. City Ballers will play to anybody else's style versus having their own. So yeah, I would definitely go with that City Ballers.
I think my
I didn't
logic.
notice the win. I'm gonna be honest. I thought they had just been losing a lot. I didn't notice that win against City Ballers.
Yeah, my logic behind it is always the consistency factor of Park Legends. If there's a more inconsistent team on the playoff bracket right now, it's the City Ballers. So that's why I would have
Yeah.
to pick City Ballers there for their most favorable matchup if they want to advance. Then we got Prey, our second to last team available here. Prey, to me, their most favorable matchup. I want to say it's between City Ballers and Park Legends. I think I'd go towards Park Legends. I think Prey. I'll save that for later. I'll go towards Park Legends. I think Park Legends is inconsistent enough to where Prey can pull this off. And if they let this momentum drive them, they can use it to take advantage of Park Legends having the opposite of momentum. What is an antonym to momentum? Because that's
Momentum.
yeah, that's what Park Legends has right now.
The momentum.
The opposite of momentum. What do you guys think?
Deceleration.
They're
Shout out to
in
James
reverse
Harden.
right now.
One of the best accelerators. And actually Dom. So the best
Shout out to
accelerators.
Tyler,
we've
the
seen in the
almanac.
league.
Listen, Park Legends parked on a hill and put the car in neutral instead of park. That's what's going on right now with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
something's going on. I'm gonna go with Nas. It could be two teams that would be their favorable matchup, but these three teams are the most inconsistent teams in this playoffs right now. So it just
Pick
depends on which side of the bed they wake up and which route they take to the gym. It could be City Ballers or it could be.
You gotta go one though. You gotta go one.
We'll go Park Legends. I'm gonna go Park Legends.
Yeah, me too, actually. Just recently, Prey and Park Legends played, and Prey looked great. Prey looked really, really good. I'd have to go Prey over Park Legends.
Yeah, I like that. And then last but not least, City Ballers. Their most favorable matchup, I think,
Prey.
is Prey. I think Prey is their most favorable matchup. I think Prey just hasn't really shown us that they are good. Um, and I think City Ballers can take advantage of that better than they can take advantage of anybody else. My second option would be Park Legends, but I'm going to go for Prey. I think Prey is their most favorable matchup. I think that's who they want to see in the first round so they can advance.
I think Count Up.
Ooh.
I think City Ballers pray that they go against Count Up because I don't think Count Up has the size to really defend what City Ballers has going on.
Wow, that's a bold take.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I was thinking the same thing as Nas. Literally same thing. I said it while he was saying it too. So yeah, I'm with Nas.
All right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's who we believe these teams want to pull on the random draw so they can advance to the second round. And NWO, however, is going to have to pick up the litter in that second round. They're going to be able to decide who their opponent is going to be. And I'm actually pretty curious to see because I feel like NWO, they stand on business. And if on the bench and Vipers both advance, and let's say, whoever's left is obviously going to be the lesser out of those three options, obviously. Do they want to get OTB and Vipers out the way first? Or do they want to guarantee a finals appearance?
I'm not going to lie. To kind of see what you're saying, Nas, if I'm Berga, I'm meeting the smoke wherever the fuck the fire's at. So if it's OTB, let's just get them out the way. Because if either we lose to them here or we lose to them in the finals. But this is the only team we can really lose to fully invested. I think if I'm Berg, I know I'm going to go get. Let me go get OTB out the way.
Why do you think NWO and the Vipers played a much, much closer game?
Yeah,
Much
but
closer.
I
Vipers
mean,
led that almost the entire game.
yeah, shout out to the Vipers 100%, but they're not the second best team in this league, and they don't have NW doesn't have that cloud of this is the championship team, and they're better than they were last year. And I think we all know that. We all think that OTB is better than they were last year right now. When we see them fully rostered, so I think this is deeper than just like the numbers and stuff. I think we all really know OTB is the best team in this league. When we take the statistics out of here and we take all the paperwork, at the end of the day, I think we all think OTB is going to win this championship. I love NWO. I love Count Up.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Who's all?
Oh well, if you think NWO is going to win, shout out to you, Nas. But a
You
lot
lost
of people,
the game. You kind of have to go with the 2000.
Yeah, of course we think NWO is going to win.
Take this out when you're looking pound for pound. I mean, OTB's the guy. They have Keith.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. So you're saying pound for pound, the Vipers almost beat them. They were the only team to really come that close to along with Count Up more recently, but they were the only team to get that close to beating them. And the other thing is,
it was a close game.
Why would you want?
Too. Yeah,
it was, yeah.
But they led.
But why would you want? Why would you want NWO to go immediately into their hardest game after sitting for 3 weeks, 4 weeks? You want them to immediately go into a team that already had a few games?
It's not like their full team's playing. Their full team's not playing anyway. So, I mean, why not? If I'm a coach, I'm not ducking smoke. And if the smoke is there, I'm gonna meet it at the fire. We're gonna get this fire out.
I mean, if they're that good, you're gonna play them anyway. If they're that good, so you're not ducking any smoke.
We're running into these guys eventually. Let's just get this out the way now. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, my route is I want to take it from them when it's closest to their possession. When you guys when you guys feel like you're right there, when you guys feel like all you got to do is win one more game, you're gonna be like, yeah, one more game against us. That's what you got to do. I'm taking them in the finals. I'm taking whoever advances, whoever else it is, and I'm letting OTB and the Vipers fight it off and go at each other in that round and dismantle each other, crush each other's hopes and dreams, and then we'll take on the City Ballers, Prey, or Count Up. We'll whoop their ass by 50, and then OTB, when you think you're closest, when you think you're one win away, no. you're one ass whooping away from not winning this championship.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I'm taking them in the finals if it's me.
I'm gonna look at the bracket and I'm going opposite of where Vipers and OTB are because I want them two to knock each other out.
Listen, I'm looking
I'm
at
going.
OTB. I'm looking at Bubba straight in the face. I'm telling you right now, you don't get to play us first. You got to beat the Vipers first. You don't get to play us
There's
first.
levels.
There's levels to this shit. Beat them and then you can come see us.
You're an asshole.
That's how I see it. But that's enough of that. That's our
Give me
take.
City Ballers.
That's our takes for who we believe are the most favorable matchups for each playoff team this upcoming weeks. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. We'll see how it all goes, man. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Atleta Sports is going to be hosting the All-Star Game this year for GM5. We're going to be having a dunk contest. We're going to be having a three-point shootout. And we're going to be having a 1v1 mini tournament, something small, simple, and quick. But it's going to be entertaining. And obviously, we're going to have an all-star game. Man, we got a lot of stuff lined up for y'all. A DJ. We have a barber coming up to give y'all some cuts. We got a lot lined up to make this one of the best all-star events Central Florida has seen in years. And I'm talking better than the ABA, better than the TBL, better than the Ace League, better than all of them. All right? So make sure you hit us up if you want to get your tickets early and get them at a discount. Hit us up so you can get that done early because everybody's going to be there. So we want y'all to be there. Get your tickets early. We were going to announce all our invitees, but I decided since we are still trying to figure that out 100% of the way, I think it's better to ask the players first before just saying that we're going to invite them. And then they disappoint us and say that they can't come. Then we got to retract and all that stuff. So we're going to invite everybody separately once we get an okay from everybody.
Why don't we talk about some of the people that have already committed?
Yeah, we have a lot of guys that have committed, actually. We can talk about that really quick. I have a group chat going on. I'll tell you guys when it comes to the dunk contest, TC, Terrell Christian from OTB has already given us the okay. He wants to show up, as well as KJ, a.k.a. the high schooler. He's going to be there at the dunk contest.
You had to. You had
That's
to.
17-year-old in the land.
Yeah, he committed there, and then we're gonna ask Bentley, who we believe will 100% attend. He's born for these type of things, and we have other players that we're gonna invite, but we won't name everybody because we don't want to get disappointed and then have to tell everybody, "Oops, we were wrong." I can tell you who have committed from the three-point contest, though. We have 5 players who have given us the okay. Based on the group chat, I asked them to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. These are the 5 players that so far have responded with a thumbs up for the three-point shootout. That is Zoldo from Vipers, Christian Sari from Park Legends, Andrew Groningen from Prey, Tommy Dennis from NWO, and Lenoris Hamilton from Count Up have all given me a thumbs up thus far. So we are going to expect them at the three-point shootout. We have 2 other players that were invited that have not responded just yet. I'm just going to assume they've been busy throughout the day. Maybe they haven't seen it in their DMs, whatever the case may be. So we're going to have 7 players at the three-point shootout. We are gonna post all the players that got selected for the All-Star. Now, whether or not they attend is a different story. However, we are going to announce all the players that were selected because whether they attend or not, they will still be recognized in their GM5 history books as an All-Star for that year. Similar to how they would do it in the NBA, to where if you're injured and you can't play, you do still get the nod as an all-star for that season, whether you played or you did not. So we are still going to recognize these players. So I will name them all the players that were selected. And throughout the weeks, we'll find out who is going to be able to attend and who will not. But we have Dom Douglas and Christian Sari from Park Legends were selected as all-stars this year. Keith Clanton and Romello Bates were selected as all-stars this year from OTB. From Prey, D-Jax, Devin Jackson, and Jeff Jean were both selected as All-Stars. Jalen Monroe and Braji Gordon for Count Up have been voted in as All-Stars. For the undefeated champs loading NWO, they got 3 selections, and if I'm not mistaken, the only team with more than 2. Rod Lawrence, AJ Williams, and Bo Paul, ladies and gentlemen, are all going to the All-Star game. Hopefully, cross our fingers. Phil Wells and Kevin Rulock from City Ballers. Kel Williams from Dream Chasers and the only player from Dream Chasers. And Ant Rice and Zuldo from Vipers have both been voted into the All-Star. So those are the 16 players who have been voted in as All-Stars, whether they show up or not. These are the 16 players that will get a recognition for All-Star. A vast majority of them have given me the thumbs up. I believe 9 of them have given me the thumbs up for whether they will be attending or not. So we just have to wait on 7 more and see how that goes. Some of them are busy. Some of them don't get a chance to get to their DMs. So let us know in the comment section, out of those 16 names, just like they do in the NBA, let us know in the comment section, who were your snubs? Who did not make it that you believe 100% should have made it? Do not vote for yourself. Don't be that guy. All right. Fans or other players, vote for players that you believe should have made it and did not make it this year, man. Because I have a couple names. I have a couple names myself.
CJ, I can tell you right now, CJ, I voted for him.
CJ, yeah, I think Willie
Thumbs out.
definitely was deserving as well. Was a name that I
Sure, Willie.
unfortunately missed out there. But Steve Stacko, unfortunately, ineligible. But that is a player that should have definitely made it as well. But he became ineligible due to the Lions' unfortunate series of events that happened recently. But that's it. All-Star game hosted by Atlanta, January 3rd. It's going to start at 10 a.m., go all the way up to 3 p.m. All the events are going to be there at Crooms Academy. Make sure you tap in with us if you want your tickets early. You can get a 50% discount if you purchase your tickets early by the deadline. We're going to post that on social media tomorrow, so you guys have all those details. Let us know whatever questions you have, man. That's the end of the podcast. Hoop Talk out. Deuces.